Welcome back to the weekly recap show for Trailblazer Athletics. I'm your host, Dan Wohler, here with Assistant Athletic Director Jeff Polari. And Jeff, snow has finally stopped and we're back to do a weekly recap show. How have you been?
Good, Dan. How about yourself?
I've been doing well, thank you, Jeff. And Senior Day just happened this past Saturday, so the men's team and the women's team hosted Fitchburg State for that game.
Yeah, you know, Senior Day in basketball takes on a whole new meaning. It's kind of born and bred to have Senior Days as a part of all the programs, and we were fortunate enough to host both Senior Day programs this weekend. Starting with men's basketball and the lone senior on the men's side, Travis Rice, getting honored prior to tip-off there. It's great to see Travis getting due. Hasn't always gotten as much time as I'm sure he would like, but certainly a good member of the program, embodies student athlete and all the things that are important to being a student athlete. And then on the women's side, you know, we had 6 seniors this year who really have been an integral part of the program for the last number of years, many of which have been in the starting lineup, have been big-time role players for MCLA. So, like I said, always great to see the seniors have a chance, have their moment to shine in front of the home crowd, and that was this weekend.
And on to women's basketball. They were 1-for-1 on the week with a loss to Framingham, but then that win against Fitchburg State at home.
Yeah, really a tale of 2 games for sure. They went down to Framingham State midweek and just was not their day in any way, shape, or form. Framingham State came out and was just on fire from the get-go. They were 5 of 5 from beyond the arc in the first quarter alone, jumping out to a huge 32-9 lead after 1 quarter. They scored 65 points in the first half, which is obviously a season worst for MCLA. Just couldn't recover, too much firepower. Ultimately came down with a loss in that game. And then, you know, this past weekend on Senior Day, a matchup with Fitchburg State, a team they handled fairly easily earlier in the year. It was a pretty good game, again, into the second half this week. Ultimately, MCLA pulled away. In that contest, Kayla Hoteling got real hot in the fourth quarter, started inching her way closer and closer to the 1,000-point mark, which we'll get into a little bit later. But you know, just great to see MCLA really start to push forward and get a really key win, which really has put them in a prime position to at least clinch a postseason berth and get into the MASCAC playoffs, which is, I'm sure, what their goal was.
Yeah, and speaking of the MASCAC playoffs, they're 3-8, so just inching more and more closer to the top of the MASCAC standings.
Yeah, if we can take a look at the standings, you'll see that MCLA is currently at 3-8. They're in the 5th slot right now. They will not be able to get any higher than 5. So I would guess next week they'll be either 5th or 6th into the postseason at this point. Westfield Framingham tied at the top with just a single loss apiece. Those two have been the class of the league throughout. MCLA's got their last game with Bridgewater State this weekend, so it should be a good way for them to finish the season. Hopefully they can get win number 4.
Sure. And on to the men's basketball side, they also lost to Framingham State on Wednesday.
Really good game with Framingham. They lost 70-60 down there on the road. A winnable game for MCLA. They had their chances. Nolan Bird in that game had a tremendous game, season high 24 points. It continues to be the Keelan Cross show. He had a lot to do in that game as well. But ultimately, the last five minutes of the game, the Rams were able to pull away and come out with a win. But you know, MCLA on the road put up a pretty good performance.
And then the Trailblazers fell at home on Senior Day to Fitchburg State.
Fitchburg State is really coming on late in the season. Probably the top player in the league, Julio Bell, is a Falcon, and he really we had a tough time containing him, especially in the second half. Again, kind of more of the same. It was a pretty competitive game for the first half. Second half, we just kind of ran out of gas, and ultimately they had the firepower to pull away and go on to a convincing victory.
And as you mentioned, Keelan Cross has been a top contender for the Trailblazers. He was the Rookie of the Week for the 7th time this season.
Yeah, you know, Keelan continues to just fill the stat sheet up week in, week out, averaging 16.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 2.5 steals. You can see him making a great feed there off a loose ball to Joe Wiggins and converting there. Keelan's been a great catalyst on the offensive side of the ball. He's dominated the Rookie of the Week again with his 7th this season, and so it'll be nice to see how he continues and how he can wrap up this season as well in the Trailblazer uniform. You can see another nice pass there to Joe Murray.
Right, great performance from Keelan Cross all season, and our sports reporter Maggie Allen had a chance to be there on Senior Day, and we'll cut to Maggie right now.
Hey Trailblazer fans, I'm inside the Amsler Campus Center gym, and with Senior Day quickly approaching, I had the chance to sit down with the graduating members of the men's and women's basketball team. Let's hear what they had to say. Three-year player and graduating senior Travis Rice explains to us what he will miss most about being with MCLA's close-knit community.
Definitely the people. I love the people here. They make you feel loved and welcome here, so definitely gonna miss everybody. So I gotta come back and visit at least once a year.
Being the only graduating senior on the men's basketball team, Rice also gave some advice to his teammates and other student athletes.
Enjoy your time while you're here, because you don't know what you got until it's gone, so.
Heading over to the women's side, senior Braylee Hanlon tells us what her favorite memories are.
Definitely all the laughs with my teammates, especially when we fall and stuff and just joking around.
Her teammates could not agree more about keeping the team laughing, especially when it comes to Braylee herself.
My favorite memory would be our SVC game last year when Braylee Hanlon fell twice during the game.
Probably when Braylee fell twice at SVC.
Aside from the jokes, Braylee described one of the things that she will miss most about MCLA.
Definitely the atmosphere and the people. It's totally different from other colleges and stuff.
Dual sport athlete and 4-year senior Svetlana Morel tells us what she liked the most from this past season.
I liked the team bonding. I really liked going to Florida this year with the team. That was a lot of fun.
Seniors Anna DeSpart and Kayla Hodeling touch on how they would want their teammates to remember them upon graduation.
By my sense of humor.
Just as being a good leader and an all-around kind of good teammate and friend.
Both 4-year players Ashley Clausen and Courtney McLaughlin tell us what they would tell their younger selves after knowing what they know now.
I would tell myself to stick with it and just keep working hard.
Just not to take anything for granted. It goes by really fast.
McLaughlin also explained to us what she will miss the most about being an athlete here.
I'm probably going to miss my team the most. I think we have a really great group of girls.
With all the hard work and dedication these athletes have put in the past couple years, they will be greatly missed on and off the court. Back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Maggie, and some seniors having tremendous games. Braylee Hanlon played really well starting the game, as well as Kayla Hodeling. She got real close to 1,000 points. She needed 29 in that game. She scored 26. Didn't think she was going to get there, but she was close.
Yeah, as we said earlier, the 6 seniors in women's basketball have really had quite an impact, and none probably bigger than Kayla Hodeling, as you can see here going to the basket. Kayla was actually really held in check for 3 quarters, and in the fourth quarter really started to get rolling. She scored 15 of her 26 in the fourth quarter in that game to really give her a realistic chance of something that didn't seem like it was going to happen late in the contest. She really gave herself a chance in the final 2 minutes to get there. Ultimately came up 3 points shy, so she currently stands at 997 points on target to become the 7th Trailblazer to reach the 1,000 point club, and it could happen as early as this Wednesday night at Southern Vermont.
Right. Too bad it couldn't happen at home. The last player to do that was in 2013 for the Trailblazers. But that's going to do it for this week, so we've got a few games coming up.
Yeah, we got a couple of non-league games. MCLA's got a bye in the conference this week, so on Wednesday both teams will hit the road. The men will be at Pine Manor, which will be a real fast pace. Pine Manor likes to trap, run up and down the floor down in Boston on Wednesday night. And as we previously stated, the women will be at Southern Vermont. Big game for Kayla, like I said, more than likely going to eclipse that 1,000 point plateau. And then both programs will wrap up the regular season with Bridgewater State on the road on Saturday, wrapping up conference play, and the women will ultimately learn their fate heading into next week's MASCAC playoffs.
So both non-conference and conference games coming up, but that'll do it for this week. I'm Dan Wohler with Jeff Polari. Thanks for watching, and remember to follow MCLA Athletics on all their social media pages, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.